In this short video documentary, we sought to explain why people shoot photography. Multiple photographers were asked various questions relating to the topic. We started off with the question, why did you get into photography?
I got into photography when I was 11 or 12 years old. I got a Rebel T5 and went out and took some videos and photos. I was mostly into videography then. I got back into it about a year ago and got really into it. And now I'm out taking photos every other day.
Just as I began to see more interesting things and the beauty in things that are just like daily objects or pieces of bigger things like cars, and kind of looking at smaller pieces of it. I started on my phone, like a lot of modern people, I think, and some people don't go past that, but at some point I was looking to kind of bump up the game a little bit, so I got a mirrorless camera.
I got into photography probably in 6th or 7th grade, and I had a friend that had a camera, and we were always just out in the woods playing with it. And I got my first camera in 6th grade and kind of started going from there.
It was definitely an interest of mine since a young age, and I'd say it was just a really important form of creativity for me that I just felt the need to do.
Photographers were then asked, what interests you in shooting?
What do I shoot? I shoot really whatever event I'm at. If I go somewhere and I see something that looks out of the ordinary, I'm like, ooh, I want to take a picture of that, you know? A lot of the times that is played into by the gear I'm using. Whatever is on my camera at that moment in time, like lens-wise, I'll really be honed in to look for something that like works well with what I'm shooting on. So if it's like a fisheye, I'll be shooting a lot of landscapes and trying to get really up close to interesting things and showing all this weird stuff in a composition, and that's what I like to do. I like colors a lot. I'm not a big black and white photographer, so I try and make sure I have some good color contrast in a lot of my photos.
Kind of separating subjects from their like definitions, and more so just looking at things as just a part of the world, really. Like, I don't take photos of cars because they're cars. I take photos of some cars because they look interesting, or like tops of buildings. I don't take them because they're buildings. I take them because they look interesting in of itself. And yeah, so I'd say a bit of everything, but it's mostly just what I see, not necessarily what's around, because when I have some sort of creative block, it's not because there's nothing around that's interesting. It's more so because I don't see what's interesting about it.
I think it really depends on what I'm shooting that day. Sometimes if I'm doing like street photography, I'll try and go somewhere like Portland or Boston where I have a lot of options for subjects. And if I'm shooting something like senior photos, I tend to look at lighting a lot and background. So there are some spots I like for that where I know the lighting and I know where even if it's a harsh lighting day, I can get some good shadows and stuff and keep their skin tones even. And then there are some things like micro photography I like doing where I tend to like doing that of nature. So really just getting outside and in the woods for that.
I would say I'm outdoors often, so I enjoy landscape photography, but I also enjoy portraiture and abstract photography as well. So that's typically what I'm drawn to.
We continued with, what keeps you shooting?
Honestly, just the social aspect and like enjoying it. I enjoy it as a hobby, and I think it's a fun way to express myself and share things I enjoy. So that's definitely a reason. It's a creative outlook. I like to just go and look at things and take pictures of them. Editing also is something really fun for me. I feel like, especially nowadays, you can really change a photo in any way you like with computer software. So I enjoy doing that.
I think when you reach a point where you cross by a potential subject but don't have your camera on you and you think, damn, that would have been a good photo, I think that's the point when you kind of realize that what you're doing is something you want to continue doing. And yeah, for me personally, it just kind of capturing moments and being able to stop that and admire it for a second, because things move so fast and subjects usually don't wait.
I think for me, a lot of it is just like documenting and meeting new people and kind of reminding myself of all the like amazing things around me. I really like shooting nature stuff because I just think it's so beautiful and it's always been a huge part of my life. And so I really enjoy that. And that kind of keeps me shooting, just being able to like in the winter look back at photos from the spring and think, oh, it'll get warm again at some point in me. And
I just don't think that it won't ever be a part of my life. It's just been a part of my life for so long. It's part of who I am and what I do. So I couldn't imagine myself not doing it. It's just something that my hands and my mind and my eyes have to do.
Our next question was, what's your opinion on photography as an outlet of creative expression?
I don't think it's anything else but that, because photography isn't just taking a picture of a scene. It has so many other steps. It's knowing your camera, knowing your equipment, knowing your location, knowing your software, making sure you get it right.
I think something that is interesting to talk about here is photo editing, because for a bit I was a little skeptical about like over editing photos because it seemed ingenuine and it seemed to not really focus on what photography is all about, is to capture moments in sort of candid ways. But as I kind of came around to it is, when you take a photo, you're capturing like the raw information of a scene. And when you go to edit it, you're editing it to what you creatively saw in the moment. So even if that means moving around compositions a bit, and I don't really do it much myself, and that's just my own preference, but I don't look down upon people who want to edit their photos to make them look more surreal, I suppose. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just a way of creatively demonstrating what the artist sees and what the artist wants to express to other people.
I think for me, it kind of depends on what type of photography I'm doing. I do some film and some digital, and kind of depending on whether I'm doing black and white film or color film, it kind of changes how I'm expressing things. But I do think it's a really important form of art because it's showing something real. It's not like with paintings and stuff like that where it's something like created. It's really something that like you're capturing, and it was a real moment. And I think that that's really important and one of the reasons I love it.
I think for many people, it's the attraction of the instant gratification. But I didn't learn photography under that umbrella. And so I understood right away when I was younger that it was about process. And I think that it's all about process now in today's modern world as well. But it allows the artist or photographer to see it quicker. And I think that was part of the intrigue starting out as a film or still life photographer.
Lastly, they were asked if they had any last thing they wanted to share to beginner or advanced photographers.
So I think a lot of people in our hobby take it very seriously. I take it seriously myself, but I think you need to take a step back and realize that there's a million different levels of photography and things you want to do with photography, and criticizing other people's work because it doesn't fit what you see as like photography just isn't cool. Be nice. That's what matters, because everyone's starting. Everyone starts somewhere.
But I think it is nice for people to be able to take their photos and document their life as they go. And to come to think of it, like that really wasn't as common even just some decades ago for people to have such easy access. And it costs virtually zero money as well, which is good for common people. And, it's not taking photos isn't an elite art form by any means. It's something that people from all ranges of society can do.
Actually, the most important thing is just like if you're wanting to get into it, just start shooting like on your iPhone or whatever you have. I've shot on a bunch of different kinds of cameras and a bunch of different types, like film, digital, all that. And I'd say you just learn the most from really getting out there and seeing how light interacts with different types of cameras.
For me, it's all about light. So I'm interested in how light and shadow affect the subject. Just keep doing it. I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. And if you wish to expand your skills and your talent, that's what it takes.
If we learned anything, it's that there's not one reason why people shoot photography. All of the artists featured had very different reasons behind why they shoot photography and what inspires them. Yet despite this, all of their work is equally amazing in their own right. This leads me to believe that anyone's reasoning for shooting photography is all equally valid, and anyone is capable of producing amazing work.